It was actually two Russians on a de-expedition that I made the contact with. So that was probably a pretty rare contact and a very long way, 3,500 miles, I think. And just last night, I made a contact in Utah in the US, which was, I think it was 4,800 miles, so just shy of 5,000 miles. So with my end-fed half-wave antenna running down the garden, 20 metres long, and that was on the 15-metre band, 21 megahertz, and 100 watts. And so which is fantastic, I think. It amazes me how well this sort of weak signal modes work. I've noticed that when you exchange signal reports on FCA, mine is always the worst one. So almost every contact that I've made, their signal is, to me, it's much stronger than my signal to them. So quite a bit of improvement needed at my end, but obviously a lot of these stations, they're very big stations, they have big setups, which I'm never going to get going at my house. But no, so yeah, very impressed by the performance of FCA as a weak signal mode. Question for you, Justin, when we come back round to you. I'm curious about, I'm very interested in like internet gateways and repeaters and things like that. Mostly on 2 metres I have been working, but obviously any band, any mode. How does amateur radio in general come to get access to the sites that they have for repeaters? Because a lot of them are obviously commercial sites, you know, there are other big towers with commercial radio equipment on them. I just wondered how the amateur radio community manages to get access to them. And it seems, nobody seems to spend a lot of money on sites that I've heard of. I think it's the Kent Repeater Group say they only need £1,000 a year to operate. So they're obviously not paying very much for the site because they have other expenses as well. So yeah, I'm just curious about that. Perhaps you could let us know how that sort of thing works. I'll pass back up to you, Frank. Perhaps you want to give a call out, see if anybody else is joining. So G0FTP from M9LCD. Yep, okay there, Guy, for a slight break, in case there's anybody else wants to come. But I'm just going to say to you, Guy, that you talk about 2 metres working into Germany. Well, on some occasions, on a Sunday morning, when the pressure's been in a good operative mode, I have heard on here the French stations and the German stations on 2 metres, which some mornings I've had to actually revert to a different frequency because they're so loud to me. I wouldn't get over the amount of signal that they're sending me, so I've had to move. I had to tell them that today's Sunday morning net is up on 145.375 or something like that to sort of clear from it, but I haven't had it lately. But I know that you can get quite a good distance on 2 metres when the conditions are quite right. And at the moment, they're obviously not that good unless you're running a lot of power, which at the moment on 2 metres, the only amount of power you can run on 2 metres is 50 watts, and I'm only running 20 at the moment, so my 50 watts wouldn't get, well, it gets me down to the south coast, it gets me up into Essex, Colchester area, up that way, so it's not too much of a problem, but north of that sort of Lincolnshire and that sort of area, it's not too much of a problem because I've got nothing in the way. Susie Hill's to the right of me, so at least it's straight up over the city of London, straight up the North Pole, A1 up north, and I can get up there quite easily. And talking about north, my granddaughter, I was going to go and see her on Alpha. Is that correct? Thank you very much. Okay, is there anybody else that can join the Sunday morning 2 metre CRAY Valley Radio Society net?
Yeah, M0JCF, just listening, Frank.
M0JCF, put it in remarks, just listening. Just listening. Okay, Mark. You're on the list anyway if you're just listening, don't worry. Is there anybody else? These sites have mostly been through sort of contacts, but it's surprising to me that you can get far enough. I've worked in telecoms companies all my life, and it surprises me that you can get far enough up the food chain with a request like that, you know, to install equipment at a site, get far enough up the food chain so I'll get approval for it. But obviously it does work that way. I suppose the good reputation of amateurs, so not sort of some level of trust that amateurs aren't going to install equipment that's going to interfere with anything else or catch fire or that sort of thing comes into play there. But yeah, interesting. And interesting that a little site's been bought there. Yeah, that's fantastic, really. That an amateur-owned site, and you know, there's perhaps a scope there for other equipment. Whereabouts is that site, Justin? Just let us know on your next over, perhaps. But yeah, potential for installing other equipment there and sharing the cost and all that sort of thing. So yeah, that sounds very good indeed. Excellent. Frank, yeah, interesting that you've heard people from Germany, France, on 2 metres, and if that was interfering with this net, or you know, potentially occupying the frequency, then not only would they have been strong, but they'd be on FM as well. So I could kind of, I wouldn't expect it, but you know, kind of understand SSB, hearing a SSB signal, but if they're coming through loud and clear on FM, I mean, that's amazing really. But as you say, in the correct conditions, high pressure, and I think inversion is what they call inversion, where I can't remember which it is, either the ground temperature is lower than the air temperature or vice versa, creates a duct, and these tropospheric ducts can go a long way, I know. So as well as all the scattering modes, I mean, there tend to be, well, there seems to me to be many modes of VHF propagation, and some of those can even combine. So, but yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, if I had a German FM station, you know, I could from here, I would pack up amateur radio because I've done it all, you know. So interesting. Okay, I'll pass you. I think Ken is next on the list. G4APB. I'll pass it to you. G4APB from M9LCD.
Yeah, M9LCD and the CRAY Valley Group from G4APB. Okay, thanks, Guy. Right, Frank, hear you nice and strong. Justin, nice and strong. Guys, end stop. I didn't hear the other guy at 2E0KXA, and I didn't hear M0JCF at all. So they're obviously, I don't think they'll hear me from my depths of Crayford. Anyway, sorry I came on a little bit late, but when I switched on, Guy, I heard you mention 3DV, but I didn't actually, I just heard you mention it, but I don't know if you've been trying it and playing with it or what, but I missed that bit. But I got my Practical Wireless magazine come through the other day, and there was a couple of articles in there about 3DV. One was a constructional kit for an 80-metre rig that used 3DV on a fixed frequency, and the other was all about the 3DV software sort of thing. Now, interestingly, they were saying this is like the best thing since sliced bread, and it's like digital. If you digitise sideband, you can, because of the narrow bandwidth and it's digital, you can work people right down into the noise. And I thought, well, that's quite interesting. So I thought I'd fire it up and give it a try. Now, I've got it's not that old, it's a Tosh laptop that I use for Whisper, FTA and everything like that, and it's next to the rig, and I've got my audio interface boxes and leads. So I thought it'd be a great thing to set it up on that and give it a try. Anyway, I downloaded the program. It's called freedv2.02.exe, and I ran into problems straight away. It annoys me when you get these articles in the paper and they say it's quite straightforward to load this up, but it isn't. The first thing I got was something, it said, I got an error saying it couldn't find a DLL. Now listen to this name, a DLL called API-MS-win-core-path-vertical bar-1-1-0.dll. Well, that was missing. I thought, oh great. Anyway, so I searched the internet and I managed to find it, and I downloaded it. Figured out how to register a DLL with a computer, did all that, and then when I ran the program, it comes up and says, I don't understand this either. It says the procedure entry point P CVRS query snapshot could not be located in the dynamic link library kernel32.dll. Blow. Anyway, I've got a kernel32.dll, so I don't know what's missing out of it, but I never got the program to run on my laptop. But not to give up, I've got another computer on the other side of the... I've got my shack in a cupboard in the bedroom, and I've got a computer on the other side of the room, so I ran a very long audio lead from the output of my rig into my computer on the other side of the room, and I downloaded 3DV, and for Windows 11 it seemed to install. But although I could hear, I tuned in on the frequencies allocated for 3DV, although I could hear strange noises coming through, which I presume was digital speech, I couldn't really decode anything. And I got a lot of, there's like a waterfall that shows you things are going on, but it just looked a bit of a mess. And so a bit disappointing in the end. So I can't, and I actually sent an email to the author of the 3DV write-up in Practical Wireless, but I got a bit of a funny answer. He basically said he didn't know anything about the software, he was just reviewing it, but so he couldn't help me. But anyway, yeah, so I was a bit disappointed with that. I thought it was going to be something good. Right, back round to you, Frank, because I'm not sure who can hear me. Fox Zero, Fox Delta Papa, and the group G4APB.
Yep, okay there, Ken. Right, the next one on the list is 2 Echo 0 Kilo X-Ray Alpha. I believe it sounded very much like a female's voice. Over to you from G0FTP.
Thank you, G0FTP. This is 2E0KXA. The name's Archie. Thank you for letting me on the net. My location is Wellington, South London, and I just got my intermediate license from CRAY in September. So thanks to everyone who helped out for the intermediate course. I haven't been on the air for a while because of, well, you know, school and exams. So, yeah. So I'll pass on to the next station. I'm not sure who that is. So, thank you.
It's okay, 2E0 Kilo X-Ray Alpha. Did you say your name was Archie? Is that an abbreviation for something else, Archie?
Yeah, my name's, I shorten it to Archie, but my full name's Archita.
Rightio, Archie. It's a lot easier to say Archie than it is what you just mentioned. So at least stay with Archie. And as you're a 2E0, you can update it, as one of our club members have done, who was a 2E0. You can update it now to a M9. That's what you do. I think you've got to go through the Ofcom to do that. I'm not quite sure, but one of our lads has already got an M9 course on that, who was a 2E0. But nice to hear you from down there in Wellington, which is in Surrey, round about sort of Croydon, just past running around the Croydon area. To me, as I've got a fairly good system here, you're coming through to me, you was coming through about 5 and 6. No problem there. Audio was quite nice, but being it's a sort of low signal at first, I couldn't pick it up straight away, but I have got it now, so I've got it down as 2E0 Kilo X-Ray Alpha. That's your call sign, and well done on going up onto the 2E0 mark, doing the intermediate. Well done on that there, Archie, and keep up the good work. Go on to the amateur radio a bit more often. You can always come and join us on the Sunday morning there, because I can hear you. Maybe some of the other stations in the area, because this is Eltham area, maybe they can't always hear you. Like I think, who was it who couldn't help? I don't know, could you hear her, Justin? I'm not quite sure, but M0J7, that's Mark, he's not far from me. He couldn't hear you, but it's nice that I can hear you, Archie, because I've got a good antenna system, so it gets out quite well from where I am. So, well done, Archie. Keep up the good work. Right, Mark, M0J7, are you still just listening, or are you chatting?
I'll have a quick one, Frank. G0FDPM0JCF. Good morning, everyone. I can actually hear everyone, Frank. Archie's about 5 and 5, 5 and 6. Everyone else 5 and 9, including both of them down in Crayford. I'm on the collinear now. I'm using Chris, G0FDZ SK. I'm using his old Icon 32E. So there's about 4 or 5 watts coming out the back. Right, I just thought I'd come and say hello. That's all. I was doing other things, Frank. I'm doing the washing, believe it or not. So I'm using this rig into me collinear. I was having a listen beforehand. Not sure if I've batteries knackered on this, Frank.
And it keeps dropping out. Perhaps it is getting to a point where it really wants charging up, or you should put it on the power.
No, wants a replacement battery. I'll leave it at that, Frank.
Okay, Mark, leave it at that, and you'll probably get it sorted out after you've done your washing. Mind you, it reminds me the other day when I was in, I had the bin wash machine going 3 times that day. God, my front room looked like a big laundrette. But there we are. Things have to be done. That's the main thing, doesn't it, Mark? Things have got to be done when you're on your own. I know. Okie doke, right. We go. Is there anybody else want to join in that before we go to the top of the list again? Definitely silence there. Justin, back up to you then from G0FDP. Over to you, Justin. G8YTZ.
Yeah, J8YTZ. Well, I can hear Archie, but unfortunately not readable. So here in Petswood. So don't know if you've got a bit more power. That might do it. Don't know if you're receiving me at all, but you have to relay that through. But I put you in the log as a 1 and 3, and that's not money, etc. So yeah, a bit of a poor turnout this morning. What's happened to everyone? You know, they're all on 40 metres. I think 40 metres has got lots of little yellow lines bobbing up and down. So something happening there. Probably a contest, is it? I don't know. Oh yeah, all from the north. I think everyone's from the north on that's 40 this morning. Just having a tune around and listening to all the interesting conversations. I'm fascinated with this Grok update. I have to look and see what it does now, see if it actually works for me. Because if I can get out of Amazon Alexa, which frankly, it's been around about, since about, I bought my first Alexa box in about 2018, I think, or no, 2016. And I bought an American one and brought it over when they hadn't launched it here. And frankly, in that time, it's not improved. It really hasn't. It's just they've just set it up and let it go and not done any development, which is really disappointing. I think Amazon would have done something a bit more exciting with it. And the Apple one is next to useless as well. Their AI is well behind the curve. So it's a point you have to start looking at engineering it yourself, you know, and that's the intention. I know Raspberry Pi brought out some new gadgets specifically for the home assistant market, so I think I'm going to have a play with all that, etc. Anyway, there we have it. That's where I am with that right now, and I'm going to get on this afternoon or late morning afternoon. The first thing I'm going to do after this net is have some of that butternut squash soup, and then I'll be on to putting the final touches on the PA section for the repeater. Okay, right to you guys, G8YTZ.
J8YTZ and the group from M9LCD. Right, okay, so Kenya ends up to me, of course, signal reports. Archie, you're 3 to 4 over 4 to me, let's call it 4 over 4. I'm in Crayford, quite low down into Crayford, not far from the river. So you are readable. Your modulation's a bit quiet, I would say. If you've got mic gain control there, you might try turning that up a touch perhaps. And obviously if you've got any more RF power, then I would turn that up a bit. But you are readable to me, so that's good. Mark, JCF, you're 3 over 2 to me, so very weak signal really, but you are mostly readable. I think you're on battery operated equipment there, so handheld by the sound of it. But yeah, you're just about readable to me. So, not sure where you are, Mark. Are you Forest Hill? I can't remember. I know you've been on previous nets, but I can't remember your location offhand. So, yeah. Okay, I'll, nothing else to add, I don't think. Oh yeah, Ken, sorry about all your 3DV trials and tribulations there. One suggestion for you, you might try, if you just want to see what 3DV sounds like. There's a program called Open Web RX, and it's a software, a web accessible software-defined radio. So once you've got it set up, you can access it from anywhere, you know, your phone, your tablet, or another computer anywhere in your house. It's just it provides a website, and there's slightly different versions of it, and I haven't quite got to the bottom of it. But it's actually my project for this afternoon is to install some more digital decoders, and I know that 3DV decoder is available on it, so that might be an easier way for you to to try out 3DV and see what it's like. But it sounds really interesting, you know. I've heard a demonstration of it on a YouTube video, and the audio quality is fantastic compared to SSB, and you can imagine that the noise margin would be much better. So that'd be interesting. In that Open Web RX, there's lots of other decoders as well. So there's all the 3 main voice codecs that are used on the higher bands. YSF, Yaesu Fusion, YSF, DMR, and the Icon 1, which was the Japanese amateur radio society developed speech codec. Name escapes me for a second, but so yeah, so that's my project for this afternoon. Try and get some of those going. I've got Open Web RX installed and working on a Raspberry Pi with just RTO SDR dongle plugged into it, but it's not giving me those codecs. So they're either an add-on, something else I've got to install, or they're in a different version. But the trouble that you're having there, Ken, where the entry point to a DLL is not recognised, that's the wrong DLL. DLLs are just a set of little, they're libraries, they're just a set of little programs that are used by other programs, and if the entry point is bad, it means that it can't find the beginning of that program in the library. So, you know, it's a completely hopeless case. You're either using the wrong DLL or the wrong software is trying to access it. But yeah, once you get a message like that, you're on, you know, something is quite wrong. So abandon that, abandon all hope if I were you. It would be my advice. Anyway, yeah, you're next on the list, Ken. So G4APP and the CRAY Valley Net Group from M9LCD.
Yeah, M9LCD in the group. G4APP. Yeah, okay, thanks, Guy. Yeah, I guess that. What's disappointing, I actually joined the 3DV forum. You know, it's a bit like the CRAY Valley forum where you can go on and ask questions. And I did put this up as a question, but nobody came back. In fact, when I've looked at everybody else who's ever put a question up, nobody seems to ever get any answers. So I get the impression that the people who write the software don't read this forum. Because, yeah, I would have thought, if I go on the QRP Labs forum, I mean, you get 50 replies to every question. I was a bit disappointed with this one. Anyway, the program I downloaded, it actually had a folder called DLLs, but there's nothing in it, which is very strange. And also in the manual for this, it says, oh, you can have a look at a WAV file to have a listen to see what it sounds like, but there's no WAV files. So it's all, and yeah, I went back on the site of the, what's they call it, I don't know, GitHub, the GitHub site. I downloaded the one they said is version 2.02, which is the latest, but it seems to be missing a few things, and I'm not quite sure why. But I don't give up. God, no. I was actually thinking of buying a better laptop, but I thought, well, why should I buy a better laptop? Because this one served me well for years. It works perfectly on the latest version of WSJT. It does, JSA and FT8, and I just wanted it to run 3DV because all the leads are plugged in and it should go. But anyway, a little project for later on. Yeah, okay, about the open web. Yeah, I really wanted it to get this going as it was described in Practical Wireless, but obviously not so easy as they make out. Right, back around to you, Frank, G0FDP, G4APP.
Yep, okay there, Ken. G4APB. The next on the list, Archie. You're still with us, presumably, Archie. 2E0 Kilo X-ray Alpha. You're about 5 and 5 to me, 5 and 9 nearly. Not too much of a problem. I can hear you okay. Some of the other stations here can hear you as well. So over to you, Archie. Have another over. Back to you from G0FTP.
Thank you, G0FTP. This is 2E0KXA. Signal report. G8YTZ. You're about 5'8", 5'7". But you're quite clear. M9LTP 5'7", also very clear. The station after M9LTP, I didn't quite catch it. There's lots of static and flutter. I think it was G4APB. I'm not sure, but quite unreadable. M0JCF, I think it was. I'm not sure I can read you. And G0STP 59. RF output with my rig on this band, it's 50 watts is the max output. So I'm not sure I can push anymore. So I think I'll make the next one my last over. It's really nice talking to you, and I hope to see you on the band again soon. Sorry, I'm still not sure who the next station is. Is it M0JCS? Over to you.
Yeah, Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot returning to the CRAY Valley 2 meter net, now using the Yaesu FT65, still just only 4 or 5 watts, but into the collinear. Yeah, the old rig of Chris's that I bought at the sale many months ago now. The batteries really don't hold a charge that long. I could listen to the whole net, no problem, but a couple of overs and it kills them. So I'm going to have the battery pack open and replace them because it's a really nice rig and I'll just want to keep on using it. Talking of old rigs, you've been using the Fox Tango 101 Echo, the one that Guy repaired again. The finals were cooked in it. The fan had failed on the back when I was using it. And I noticed the power suddenly drop off and then that very hot smell. And I thought, oh, well, that's damaged it. So I handed it to Guy because Guy knows the 101E better than I do. I'm more of a Kenwood man. And yeah, he confirmed it was the finals. Luckily, he had a pair of finals valves that he could sell me. So he cleared it all up, had it running okay. He used it on, I think it was 10 metres and spoke to me the other day. I then collected it Friday and I've been using it over the weekend on 40 metres and 10 metres. No problem getting out to Ontario. So you know, I know it works DX on 10, and I've worked Ireland and all of the UK on 40 meters, so that's been no problem. Apart from that, just the usual DX on 10 meters. It's not been as good as it has been. This is probably not the best year or the best season for DX on 10 meters. It seems to be going okay still to the south, but going west, it's not as good as it has been. And that's about it, really. Not a lot else to tell. Things have been going on. I haven't actually been at the club the last 3 or 4 meetings. I will try to get there before Christmas. If not, I'll get there at some point in the new year, because obviously there'll be the meeting to discuss what we can do, and you know, the talks and that. And I've got a couple up my sleeve. One of them on narrow band TV, that's mechanically scanned TV. Justin, I was talking to a guy about it the other day, and Justin, you may be interested. Basically, the Baird system using a Nipkow disc. And the other chat that I want to do is the modular AM transmitter, building on all of the other things that we've done in all my other talks. So the oscillator, amplifiers, filters, that sort of thing, how to put it all together to make a top band transmitter. I've said a couple of times now, I think Dav has come up with a great, brilliant solution for exactly the same thing, all on a multi-layer PCB, but I still want to do it the old school way, the original way. So in parallel, we should be able to, between us, do some nice talks on building a transmitter and coming up with a practical working solution sometime next year. So plenty to think about, and plenty for me to mull over if I'm going to get off my fat backside and do it. So there you go. That's the story. Round to you, Frank. G0FDP. I'll tell you what, I'm going to make this my final, because it's now 10-2 and there's a fair few on the net, and I'm only running low power, and I'm continually swapping handhelds here. So I'm going to make this my final. Wish everyone 73. Have a great Sunday, and I'll speak to you all soon, or see you just as soon. So Frank, round to you. G0FDP M0JCF in the CRAY Valley, 2 metre net.
Yep, okay, Mark. 73 to you from G0FTP. Now, what I was going to do was go back to Archie and ask Archie what sort of antenna he's using down there in Wallington. I know he's only using a small amount of power, but Archie, you still listening?
Yes, I'm still listening.
What type of antenna are you using on your radio? Is it a proper radio or a handheld radio? Back to you.
The antenna I'm using is a white stick collinear in the loft, so not great for VHS.
No, it's not. With a white stick in the loft, don't forget, if you have an aerial in the loft, you're going to lose a little bit of output power, because you're obviously inside a roof, which sometimes some roofs have got some type of material on it which don't let the signal out that brilliant. But if you've got a white stick, try and put it outside if possible, somewhere near the actual guttering of the house, so it's a bit higher than what it is now. You won't need to use as much power to get out to most of us over here in the Eltham area. So that's what I would say to you, because my antenna is outside. We have got a couple of club members who have had their antennas in the house, in the roof, but they have now changed them and got them outside, which makes a lot of difference to the signal strength from the actual communication where you are. Anyway, hopefully you'll get that sorted. Might hear you again next Sunday on the 2 metre Sunday morning net, which starts at 10 o'clock in the morning till 11 or just after, depending how many people are actually on the net itself. Last week we had about 10 on the net, and it took us around to 11:15. But today it's not quite so busy. Anyway, I'll say 73 to you anyway, Archie. Maybe we might get another over from it. All depends how quickly other lads go through. Right, G8YTZ, back to you for the final over.
G8YTZ. Okay, yeah, Narrowband TV. Peter Spy's YouTube channel's worth a look at an implementation of colour and with the pick decoder and what have you on the mechanical 30-line TV. I mean, the scanning might be mechanical, but there's very little mechanical about the rest of the electronics.
wonderful proof of concept. I'll say that. Wonderful proof of concept, but of course you do it with software on a PC. So no. Seriously, I do actually think it's a wonderful sort of thing to demonstrate. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Upgrade the Baird 30-line system, the very first mechanical television, and prove it in colour with a strong RGB or RGBW, I don't know if it's RGB or RGBW LED, which of course is commonplace and cheapest chips nowadays, probably cheaper than a neon actually that they originally used. But still, it's where it all started, isn't it? It's where it all started, and then but even when Baird was doing the 240 line trials, all the receivers were electronic, so why would you have a mechanical camera? Well, the rest is history, isn't it? So it was, it's like, it's similar. I was thinking about it the other night, and I was thinking to myself, you look at self-driving cars, another of my passions. What Elon Musk has done is the equivalent of EMI, and what Waymo are doing, what Google are doing with Waymo, is the equivalent of the Baird system. It will fail because they're trying to program it rather than using artificial intelligence, and only the latter will, only intelligence can actually deal with all the edge cases. But this technology is at the point now where it will park even in a multi-story car park, though I would say there is still a little bit of work to do on multi-story car parks because largely because the waypointing in so many of these car parks is so poor. If the signage for how to get out of the place is poor, then frankly there's some work needs to be done there with car park operators, even in America. But it does work, though. I would say in a few cases you'll find where you've got a barrier, it won't quite pull up to the right point in the barrier in some car parks, and it can get stuck in a loop going round where this is the exit sign, because the exit sign is poorly placed. Even humans get confused with this stuff, so it's not surprising that AI has similar concerns. So I think car park operators probably need to improve that. Certainly parallel parking and end-in parking on conventional car parks is absolutely no problem at all. And it's good space, and if there isn't a space, it'll drop you off at the entrance and go and park itself, and that really works. But just a bit of work in some of the challenges of multi-story car parks at the minute. But the fact they can do it at all is incredible. But I would say there's a little bit of work to do there. But most other edge cases, these things are better at predicting what's going to happen on the movements of a pedestrian or something than humans are. Largely because it's got eyes in the back of its head as well. So it's got a lot more information, and it can pay attention to all those things at the same time. It doesn't get distracted. Doesn't use its mobile phone when driving and all the rest of it. So anyway, right, I'll hand it round. If I'm having the final, then it's back to you, Frank. What you said?
Hello, we're over now to Guy, M9 LCD. Over to you, Guy.
M9 LCD. Yes, okay. Always comes out to me a bit sooner than I expect on this. Mark JCF, I don't know if you're still listening, but you were better. I think you switched radios, but you were about 4 and 3 to me on your last over, so that was an improvement. I could copy you quite clearly there. Yeah, a bit drastic, Ken, APB, buying a new laptop to get free TV, but anyway, good luck with it in any case. So I'll make this my final. Nice to speak to everybody. Welcome to the net. I think you said it's the first time you've joined Archie KXA. So do join us again next Sunday. I'll say 73 to everybody, and I'll pass along to Ken, G4 APB from M9 LCD.
Okay, Guy, M9 LCD, over to the Yagi, which is probably pointing the wrong way, but I couldn't hear nothing on that, so I assume everyone's on verticals anyway, so I'm on my vertical. And yeah, what you were saying, Frank, to Mark, yeah, I was one of the people who had an aerial in the loft, and I stuck it out on a pole, and everyone's come up quite a bit. I can hear people now that I couldn't hear before, which is good. I had to take down my HF antenna, that was the only problem. I had a nice little multi-band dipole up, but I've got such a small garden, I've only got really room for one post, or one mast, and that's strapped to the fence anyway. So, but it's much more fun having a chat on the net than listening to the crackle that I get across the HF bands. Right, yeah, okay then, Guy, yeah, no, I'm not going to really buy a laptop, but I was looking at eBay for some of the second-hand ones that claim to have Windows 11, but they say refurbished, so I'm always a bit wary at, is it really, really slow or something like that, and I've managed to squeeze it in, but don't know. I have to think of another way of doing this. Right, so I'll make this my final. I think I'm on the end of the list, so I'm going to put it back to you there, Frank, and I'm going to sign out on this one. G0FDP and the CRAY Valley Group, G4APP.
Yep, okay there, Ken. Yep, no problem there. G4APB, G0FDP return. Yep, okay. We'll give Archie another call just in case, because I did talk to her a little while ago to say, really, as you mentioned it, an antenna outside is better than an antenna in the loft. So 2E0KXA, Archie over in Wallington. If you can get an antenna outside, it should be a lot better than inside, okay? And you shouldn't have to use too much power. I'm only using 20 watts because my antenna now is 30 feet high, and it's well, they call it a white stick. It's actually, in fact, a diamond, actually, antenna. A diamond for 2 meters and 70 centimeters. That's when I bought it many, many, many years ago and installed it now up on 30-foot pole. So that's why I'll get it out quite well. Anyway, Archie, over to you. Just have a last over before we disappear and close the net down. Over to you.
Thank you, C0FTC. 20KXA returning. Yeah, I think when the weather gets better, we could get an antenna outside. But it's amazing to hear that you're only using 20 watts. And, yeah, that's great. Hopefully I can catch you all next week, same time. But for now, I'll say 73, yours, and thank you. Bye-bye.
Yep, okay, Archie. Thank you very much. And let's say 88 to you is to girls, 88's for girls, and 73's for men. Okay, so 88's to you, Archie. Hopefully we'll hear you again next Sunday with a bit more. I don't know how much power you was using then, but if you can get the antenna outside, it will be greatly well worth it if you can do so. If you can't, I know some people have got property where they can't do that sort of thing. And the only thing they can do is put it in the actual loft, but depends on what sort of area you've got out in the garden to do them sort of things. But you have to wait and see. See how we go. Anyway, thank you very much, Archie, for coming up under the 2 metre net. So I'll also say 88 to you. Right, I know Mark's gone, M0JCF. Does anybody else want to have a quick comment before we disappear and I'll close the net down, which is now more or less, well, it's 11 o'clock now. Anybody with a quick comment? If not, I'll close the net down. No comments this week because we only had 1, 2, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on. Last week we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, not bad at all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We had a lot more on last week. Anyway, we've only got somebody on this week, so this is G0FDP, just listening briefly, then going QRT and closing the net down on the 2 metre Sunday morning net.
You made me laugh, right? 1, 2, 3. Last week we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, we had a lot on last week.
Yes, I know we had a lot on last week, but I can. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, get down to Dave, NOW, 9. We had 9 actually, yep. And today we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which makes a difference. Okay, 73 73s to you, Justin, as well, and everybody else who's on the net this morning. 73s from G0FDP.
Yeah, brother.
C0FDP, M9LCD. Thanks for running the net as usual, Frank. Speak to you next week.
Okay there, guys. Speak to you next week. 73s.